Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Your magical kiss will take me just so far. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Don't leave me like this, dangling from a star. You set me all aflame and it's so pleasing. It sure would be a shame if you were only teasing. So my love, before I go, turn the lights way down low and talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me. Well, good evening on this rainy day, ladies and gentlemen, in the fall, coming up to Halloween. Actually, it's a little while. I'm Don McKeag. It's the Don McKeag Show, and we try to have you join us every Thursday from 6 to 7. It's the show where we educate, mediate, infuriate, hallucinate. We do everything except imitate. This show is an attempt by one person, me, to try to communicate some facts, actualities, and most of all, some experience, real experience in a lifetime in Massachusetts. I came from Weymouth, lived on the Cape for the last 40 plus years, and now live in Carver. I also do a radio show on Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WXTK. That's 95.1 FM, the two fastest hours on radio. Now, we have a show here where you may call in, and the number is going to be up on the screen. We hope to hear from you because that's the beauty of a call-in radio or television show. You can participate. You don't have to be frustrated and yelling at the screen and yelling at the radio. You can call me up, Donald P., and I'll do my very best to defend my opinions if you disagree, or to explain if there's something that I haven't clearly described. The number here, by the way, is 508-830. He's got it up there, 3971. Ken Bukes is my partner in crime here. And by the way, yes, he's clapping first. By the way, you will be able to review or tell others who might not be able to make it. This is a tough hour. We know that. We've only been on, 12, 14 weeks, Kenny? Yes. And it's slow going for the calls, but I hear from people in Plymouth when I'm making my rounds on the coffee shop route that they have caught at least part of it, and other towns. I know we were in 17 different towns. So the show is aired again on Thursdays at 6 p.m., Mondays at 11 p.m., and Tuesdays at 9 a.m. So you might jot that down on your calendar if you miss it on this particular hour. I start out every radio show, and now I want to do this television show with a quote from Martin Luther. Any young people listening, that's not Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was named for Martin Luther, a Catholic priest who courageously took on the entire Catholic Church, which at that time, we're talking the 15th century. This quote is 1526, and he was a devout priest himself. He was not a rabble-rouser, but he saw the corruption, saw what was going on in the church, saw the harm being done, saw the people starving unnecessarily. and took on the church under threat of his life. And of course, out of it came the Protestant Reformation, excuse me, and the Protestant religion. But this isn't anti-Catholic, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a statement of fact to show what one person can do when he sees injustice. We don't have enough of that in this country. And that's why I read his quote, because it is universal. It applies to us right now as much as, if not more, than in the Germany of 1526. He says, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when a victim must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular. I said a victim. There comes a time when a person, male or female, must take a position that neither safe nor politic nor popular. He or she must take it because his conscience or her conscience tells them it is right. How many of us do that when we're placed in a position where to make a decision might harm the finances or the job or the position of someone close to us or a child, and yet we say, oh well, I've got to stay loyal. Was it right? No. Did you have a conscience about it? Nowadays, no. And it is bringing down the country. And that is what my intention of doing this show, and every show that I'm going to do from whatever time I have or I choose to, or people choose to have me do this. I wanted to talk first today about gas prices and the indications that we see of why I left the Democratic Party. Now, most Democrats don't like to listen to my radio show. I'm conservative. I was a conservative Democrat. I believed in the Democratic Party of John F. Kennedy. It's not that party anymore, any more than the country is. The Republicans don't pose a very great option, but I keep telling friends and foe alike, if you see the injustices, of which they're abounding in this state, the corruption abounding, the overspending abounding, and you continue to vote for the same people, you are the reason we're going down. Just remember that. Don't blame anybody else. You're playing golf, you're not voting, you don't care, you're part of the problem. Now, I've mentioned this before about gas. First of all, why is gas important? Well, gas is important, ladies and gentlemen, because it is basically the core of an economy today. Always has been for years and years. We need fuel, heating oil, heating gas, propane. They are the core. We need them for this country to not only survive, but more importantly, to prosper. People forget that. I listen to these Democrats especially promising jobs. I wish you, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you would tell your Democratic friends or kids or yourself. One of the reasons the economy isn't growing, one of the reasons there aren't jobs, is because of the Democrat stance in favor of unions growing when the economy's flat to get their votes. They're in favor of taxes, more and more taxes, which take away spendable income from every one of those who have a job. Not only that, they compound it by giving money. Now the Democrats are so bad, they're giving money to illegal people in this country and justifying it. You have a woman running for governor right now who is the attorney general who said technically illegal isn't illegal in Massachusetts. There should have been a riot over that. The newspaper should have murdered that statement. Not in Massachusetts. Now she wants to be the governor. She's in favor of a habitual, automatic gas tax, ladies and gentlemen. So are most of the Democrats. The Democratic candidates in Massachusetts stick to the president's policies, which basically are racist. They are pro-black, they are pro-minority, and that's it. Call it what you will, call me whatever you want. The definition of racism is promoting one particular race over others in an unequal fashion. That's what affirmative action was. All you do-gooders, feel-gooders justifying that, that was the problem with it. Wasn't the intention. Well, I've got USA Today, and I want to talk about what I'm going to try to do tonight. And by the way, the number's up there. Please feel free to call in. Now, we had the newspaper. This is the absolute hypocrisy, double standard, and insanity. I mean, insanity of the press and of the left, who control the press. The liberals control the press. The liberal left controls this country right now, and the liberal left is bringing us down. Now, first of all, isn't it interesting, just like Obamacare, and the Republicans are guilty of this too, just like Obamacare, it was supposed to be universal health care, remember? Except for who? Congress, Supreme Court, unions, certain unions. In order to get reelected, Obama made sure the big unions weren't going to have to start Obamacare. They were out of it until 2018. Well, of course, that's only 4 years now. They're whores. They're prostitutes, these politicians. Make no bones about it. You can dislike what I'm saying. You can shut your TV off, but that's because you don't want to hear what's the truth. The truth. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. This is about how people are voting and what they're doing to this country, this wonderful country, and what they're doing to your children and your children's children, your grandchildren. You want to take it? Fine. You want to continue to hold on to the Democratic Party's stances. I can't understand it. You in the business community, I can't understand it. You that are working in a private sector job, seeing layoffs, seeing the company's business go down, seeing the boss working twice as hard, just holding on to your job and you vote Democrat. I can't understand it, and I'm going to keep pounding away at it. Well, getting back to the USA Today and the press. Excuse me. George Bush. I've repeated this because I want it to be sinking in. George Bush and Dick Cheney, president and vice president, were vilified when gas prices went up to $1.86. Right? If you're honest, right. People, all these Democrats, that damn Bush, that Cheney, he worked for Halliburton. They're in the tank with Exxon Mobil. They're making money. Bush is an oil man, blah, blah, blah. That, of course, was really piped up when it was the second election against Kerry. They've been up to what, Kenny? $3.69, I saw it once. once.
I paid $4 when I went out and visited my daughter in California with Karen. We were paying $4.25 a gallon in California.
Yeah, $4.25 a gallon.
And there was one point here where I was paying $3.65, $3.70 for a gallon.
That's
of
what
gas.
I'm saying. And on the Cape,
Crazy.
it averaged 15 to 20 cents more. It is right now. I noticed it Saturday when I went down to do the radio. Now you've heard a big cacophony, right, of complaints in the press blaming Obama and for the gas prices, right? We've heard a lot of complaining by the press blaming Obama for the gas prices, right?
Really?
Oh, yeah. We've heard
about Katrina.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're still talking about Katrina, which he bolted out of to a fundraiser. But anyway, folks, not to get sidetracked. So let's first of all look at that. It's got up to $3.60 plus in Massachusetts. And people complain, but they never point to the Democrats. Never. Now we got a raising of taxes again in this state, yet another time. Check your phone bill, check your heating bill, check every bill, and never mind the fact it's a tax in the first place. Check how many taxes are on the bill. You're already paying taxes on the gas. ExxonMobil, I think, makes 7 or 8 cents a gallon. The state makes 17, and the federal government makes something like 16 or reverse. They make twice as much as the company doing all the work. But that's fair, right? That's fair. So now you've got a woman running for governor who is totally in favor of you. Whenever they decide they can whack another 20 cents or whatever onto your gas. Never mind letting it drop. Now it's dropping, right? Do you think they give you taxpayers? You people, there are multiple people I know that go to work every day from Cape Cod. And of course they work on the bridge, they work on this, so now they're sitting in traffic and using up twice the gas. But this is what I mean about it's the lifeblood of an economy. These young girls that are married or unmarried or young, they're in their 20s and 30s, and they're driving back and forth to work. That gas cost is a huge percent of their spendable income after they've been whacked with every other tax these politicians in Massachusetts are so quick to tack on. Again, sorry to tell you it's the facts. Now, all of a sudden, they've dropped. What did you pay the last tank? I paid $3.14.
Well, I
because it was $3.24, and I took my Stop and Shop 10 cents off.
I went down to BJ's, and I'm paying $3.12 a gallon at BJ's. And I've been looking around because I have an app on my smartphone, so I'm always looking for the shortest price.
Okay.
One point to your gasoline prices, Don.
Yes.
Everything goes up. Gas prices went up, and the supermarket started passing those charges for fuel onto the groceries.
Yes.
And they were going up on their grocery bill.
Of course they do.
They haven't brought those prices down.
No. Yep. Well, again, that's business. But let me just tell you this, though. What you know where I'm going with this. The point is, these SOBs on Beacon Hill and in Washington, but let's just stay with the people that you have a chance to vote out. But you know, depending upon who you are, you can't beat them. Unless you do what I just said, Martin Luther said. Do you have a conscience? Do you care about these hard-working young families? I go to the supermarket, I've mentioned it before, and I see these young mothers with 2 beautiful kids, and I see what they're buying, and I see their wagons packed, and then I see what the charge is, and I know they got to come back again that week. Then they got to put gas in their car. Now, they've also been conned into this idea, and it's not totally wrong, but buying these SUVs or whatever they are for safety. They want to make sure that the kids are safe. Well, that's fine. But again, if you're paying twice what you should for a car just because it's safe, I question that. But there again, that's marketing on the auto industry. But getting back to the gas. Now, to give people a little, we'll say it's 40 cents difference, Ken, right? 40 cents, say, from what it was.
Yes.
From, say, 352 down to 312. I'll just use it, round it off. Now, that's 40 cents. Average tank is probably, what, 10 to 12 gallons on a regular? Well, now they're 20. I mean, unless you've got one of those other vehicles.
Yeah, unless you have, well, I've got the Chevy. The Chevy takes 16 gallons.
All right, 16 gallons.
And
So,
I've got the Jeep, and the Jeep takes 22 gallons.
well, okay. Well, let's just say 15 gallons, okay? Say cars, most couples or whatever, they've got a car that's got 15 gallons. Or 20, we can. Well, I don't think it's 20, though. My Beetle's only got 15, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, your top's out at 15, and that's coming up.
Yeah,
next.
but anyway, so again, you know, unfortunately, I was brought up when teachers really cared about, you know, kids being able to do something in their head and not have to run to their computer or their calculator like they do today. But of course, education's much better today. But anyway, so 40 cents times 15, you know, there's $6, right?
Yes.
Now, $6 doesn't sound like much, but $6 to a small family, and that's not the. And if they fill the tank twice, that's $12. Again, not a lot of money, but what do these SOBs in USA Today and in the state of Massachusetts? What do they want to do? This is what they say: a pain-free way to fix roads and bridges. And of course, their idea is, as the price of gas goes down, don't let the poor suckers that are paying their salaries and buying their stupid newspapers get a little breathing room, get a little bonus, maybe be able to buy an ice cream for the kids, although you can't get an ice cream for $6 now, can you? Oh, you can get one.
At Friendly's, you can buy two for $6.
Okay, there's $3 a piece.
Can I do a news flash while you take a drink?
Go ahead.
The average price of gasoline in the town of Plymouth
Yes.
is $3.35. That's the average.
Average.
And BJ's went down to $3.06 this morning for regular gas.
Now, are they paying us for this show? You're giving them a hell of a plug there.
Sorry, Donnie.
Well, I mean, it burns me. I mentioned on my radio show last Saturday about the Cape and where are the state reps and state senators about this gas baloney that because they got to go over the bridge and go maybe another 30 miles, they can justify 20 cents a gallon compared to Plymouth.
I think it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, when you go the islands, I can understand a dime, maybe 15 cents. They go 40 cents because they've got, of course, a command audience. They've got a monopoly there. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to stick to because this to me is a perfect example of American politicians today and American liberal thinking. The press. Prices plunge at the pump, which opens up an opportunity. What? To tax you more. See, you're never supposed to hold on to any of your money. it just, and you take it. You take it, you shake your head, and you say, well, what can you do? And wouldn't it be nice to have the roads? Do you understand how duplicitous the newspapers and your politicians are? They've already collected taxes for your street department, your highway departments that are supposed to be being repaired. This is why I go out of my mind when public employees continue to get raises when the budget is done. It's just like schools today. They say it's about the kids. I keep hammering away at this. It's not about the kids. If teachers' unions get raises, when parents have to pay for the kids to play football, for the kids to take a bus, for the kids to be in drama club, when our kids are out there, God love them, they're out there doing car washes, they're selling cookies to take a trip, and it's about the kids, and they're building a multi-million-dollar schools, and then the teachers' union and the teachers get a raise. Try doing that in the private sector. Try doing it. If the private sector has to build an addition or rebuild their septic or whatever, do you think then the employees are expecting a raise? You don't care, though, and that's why Jefferson said if you get 200 years out of a democracy, you're lucky. Because once the public knows that they can control by their elected officials how much they're going to get paid or how much they're going to get back, it's over. That's what the Democrats have done, and that's what is happening. The Democrats now buy votes, period. They buy votes, period. Stick with your Democrats. I was one. I don't worry about my father or grandfather coming out of their grave and choking me if I vote Republican, like some of you fellow Irish nitwits talk about, because that's what it's all about. It's a disgrace. It is a disgrace. It's laughable what this Democratic Party has become. You can cite issue after issue after issue. Gas, though, is a big one. And remember, taxes on gas are, now diesel fuel. Here's another little thing, Kenny, you remember. When we were young, diesel fuel used to be 40 cents less than regular, right? At least 40. It was way down. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because the trucks, those big rigs, those semis that lug all of our fruit, vegetables, meats, everything, furniture, cross-country, they use diesel. It kept the costs of transportation down. Not good for the politicians. Your lovely Democrat friends. Now, diesel fuel is more than regular. Yet, the refining of diesel fuel is less than a third of what it is on some of these other octane-oriented, luxury gases that they now want, okay? All the do-gooders, all the emission control, they're never happy, but it doesn't matter. They're in control. Do-good, feel-gooders that are out of control are, again, pulling us down the garden path. And I'm just not going to keep quiet about it. You don't have to like it. But it's the truth. And if the truth hurts, so be it. Now, what do you think? How much more do you think you're paying for your fruits and vegetables and furniture and clothes? Because of the cost of diesel being even more than regular. The cost of the product to you and me has gone up. It's just economics. Democrats don't care. And by the way, just so long as you know, I ran for state. This isn't me trying to talk like Mr. Wonderful. I'm talking the truth. In 2000, I ran for state rep on Cape Cod for Dukes County, which was Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, big part of Falmouth, one precinct in Yarmouth, and two, I think, in Barnstable. And I, of course, didn't win. I ran as a Republican. And, of course, I'm too outspoken. I'm not kind enough for the liberals. that run the Cape now. But I don't care. I told the truth then. But I know what it's all about. And one of the things that I said should be happening. Now, how many of you even know what your state senators and state reps are making now? You know, it used to be a low-paying job. $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And for that, they were given health care and gas, transportation costs. Now I think it's 60 grand.
60 grand.
60 or better, isn't it, Kenny?
Plus.
Yeah, 60 plus, 70. And of course, if you're on a committee, you get a bonus. Now, do you think that maybe the wisdom, if there was fairness, but of course, isn't it wonderful that you can make your own rules, because that's what politics is. They determine their own salary. They determine, it's really kind of nice. They don't care about, now nobody, I didn't hear the Globe, that rag. Did you hear one newspaper? I didn't even see the Herald. Talk about, hey, wait a minute, we're going to have an automatic gas tax. What about removing the stipend that gives these politicians transportation allowances for going and doing their job? Now that was, again, that was an incentive. That was a little bonus for getting a low salary. That's what the intention was. And remember, this is why I keep telling you about Harvard and BU and MIT and all the other big universities not paying full real estate taxes. They are multi-billion-dollar corporations now, and those professors have the gall to stand in front of your kids that you've scraped and saved so they can pay 40 and 50 grand so that Elizabeth Warren can make 300 grand. Isn't that nice? And the hypocrites don't even pay a full property tax, nor do the churches, all of which were given these non-tax situations, tax-free, because they didn't have money when they were first started. John Harvard started in Cambridge, a college. He didn't have much money. The community helped. They said, he's not going to pay taxes. Those hypocrites that point fingers at those of us in the business community and those of us conservatives that go on the radio or on a television and tell it like it is, those hypocrites. Elizabeth Warren tells you, women, that she's going to fight for you. She teaches one class, I believe, maybe two. All that time off, full health care, and makes over $300,000. And I'll bet she's on a retainer right now while she's a senator. But she's going to represent you hard-working women, and you fall for that nonsense. She's going to take on the banks. She's going to take on corporate America. What a laugh. What an absolute farce. But they're all like that nowadays. John Kerry. John Kerry. Builds a 3.7, I think, or 4.7. This is probably 10 years ago now. Yacht. He's a senator from Massachusetts. We have many, I think there's well over 50, if not 100, boat building companies in the state of Massachusetts that was paying John Kerry his salary, his health care, his haircuts, and his Botox treatments. You said it. It's hilarious, except it's pathetic, isn't it?
It is.
Yet he has that yacht built in New Zealand. Does he help? This isn't a bad economy, you Democrats. that phony. And he's going to help the little guy? Elizabeth Warren's going to help the little guy?
Donnie, can I add something to
You
this?
can add anything you want. Since
It's a matter of record that when it came to documenting his vessel that he had built in New Zealand,
Yes.
New Zealand, he docks it in Rhode Island.
Oh, of course.
To save
Newport. Well, he doesn't want to pay the Massachusetts taxes.
to save the taxes,
There it is.
and that's our representation.
And he gets reelected. Why? Because he's a Democrat. That's the only reason. Now, I take a lot of heat because I was a very good friend, and I mention it because I want it absolutely understood. I was a very good friend of Ted Kennedy's. Thought the world of the guy. He was kindest, nicest guy with all the problems that people want to believe, and I don't excuse that kind of thing. But I know, because I lived next to him, I knew him very well. His boat, everything was done in Massachusetts. He stored it in Massachusetts, had his repairs done. Every car he bought was American. He would not buy a foreign car. He dealt with locals all the time. So you can call him, you don't have to like, I didn't like some of his votes, but he knew enough to support his own state. And this guy, Kerry, was a president, he was the Democratic Party's presidential candidate. Oh, by the way, let's talk about Mike Dukakis.
Oh, another
Were you
one of my
happy with
buddies.
him? He testified as a character witness for the friend of that Boston bomber.
Yes.
Now, how stupid is he? And you know what his job is now? He's a teacher. See, all these Democrats get recycled into professorships. They don't ask. I'm a former teacher. You won't see me being asked to teach anything, like the conservative movement, or what it means to be a conservative, or how do I become a conservative? How about National Public Radio? You think there's a conservative on National? Have you ever heard one, Kenny?
I listen every once in a while when a family member is on.
They're not a conservative, though.
Well, I can't speak to that, Donnie.
Here we go. See,
Circumstance. I can't talk to that.
I'm just saying they're not a conservative, and I'm sure they're not. That's
Yes.
my whole point.
I believe it because
Yeah.
I've gone through the situation where I've listened to some of those broadcasts online because to get a good radio.
Yes.
You can't do that, and a lot of the stuff when I listen to it, I start to laugh.
But I mean, it's not funny when you know what is all. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to do is to not be critical of others. Again, this is not about personalities, it's about principles. I don't care whether somebody's a nice person socially or not. They have a job to do. We elected them to do a job, and one of the jobs from president on down is to preserve and protect our Constitution, to preserve and protect the financial strength of this country and of every individual in it. We have a government now. We have a liberal philosophy running this country that is allowing our hardworking citizens and now the seniors to lose their homes, lose their retirements, lose their pride, lose their health, but free health care, free housing for illegals. Never mind those who don't deserve it, that are here, that should be working, that are Americans, that are in their 30s, 20s, 40s. How do you answer that? There's a lovely lady I know in Carver who just lost her husband. She's, I believe, in her 60s, maybe late 60s. She's worked 2 jobs. He was a hard worker. He got cancer and had it for years. And his work income was interrupted, but he kept working, sick as he was. But it certainly affected their ability to maintain their, mortgage, their insurance, their home costs, automobile costs. And after he died, this woman has been working just as hard, if not harder, and she can't keep up her payments. She is going to lose her house. The bank is foreclosing on her house. But Barney Frank and all the Democrat do-good, feel-good phonies caused that banking crash a few years back because banks were told to give mortgages to people who weren't working. Whatever happened to charity begins at home, ladies and gentlemen? What happened to that? No phone calls, Kenny. I guess no one feels this. I guess I feel the pain, but this leads me up to Los Angeles. Talked about this on the radio. You didn't hear Saturday, did you, Kenny? Shame on you.
I was at town meeting.
I know you were.
And I couldn't bring the radio in there.
Those of you that hand wring, that are tied into this liberal claptrap, and unfortunately a lot of them are women, and that's why they feel as though they can vote for somebody that they think is caring, more caring. Well, I'm here to tell you, mothers and aunts and sisters and brothers, think of your children and your nephews and nieces, other people's children, who are going to take on all the debt and are already being taxed, young people paying health tax so that we can give free health to illegals. And tell me that isn't insane. But if you want to see, now you won't see this on the liberal television stations, which outnumber Fox. Don't you love it when they whine about Fox? It's the only station that does what I do. Tells the truth. You don't care, I guess, Let's look at California. By the way, we've bailed California out 3 times. And that includes Republican presidents. I think Reagan might have, and I know Bush did, one of the Bushes. Largest insane asylum in the world. Well, you hear this, Kenny. This was, by the way, printed. Nobody could believe it. It was printed in the Los Angeles Times. Again, like the New York Times and the rest of them, liberal to the gills. Just like I mentioned, USA Today. Never mind championing the people who read their paper. They want to use the drop in the price to repeat, to justify more taxes on you people. And you just think it's fine. I guess you can afford it. All right. Anyway, the Los Angeles Times published this, and I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican, this should be interesting. Just one state. This is only one state. This whole situation's going on certainly in Massachusetts to a different degree, but in many, many states. Just see if this makes you happy. I don't know why. It scares the hell out of me, but I'm not going to be around that long. I'm scared for my kids and grandkids and yours. That's what I'm shooting my big mouth off for. Now, just digest this. Keep it in context with what my criticism of the Democrats and of the left and of the do-good, feel-gooders who use other people's money. You don't see them using their own. 40% of all workers in Los Angeles County, now they have 10.2 million. So think about that. What's 40%? 50% is over 5 million. Yeah. So 40% is 4 million.
Right.
4 million workers. They're working for cash and not paying any taxes. And this is because they are predominantly illegal immigrants working with a green card. At least they have a green card. But just remember, all that tax revenue. Now, before you say, well, there's the fruit owners and the vegetable growers and all this crapola, okay? No. Yeah. Before you say that.
Okay. I wasn't going to.
Yeah. Well, yes, you were. Because but that is not the point of the matter. The point of the matter is one of the reasons that people in this country love to talk about, the bad, anybody ever suggested we take some of the prisoners with the low crime, some of the drug, and they're not habitual and they're not lethal, they're not convicted rapists and murderers, but they don't work, which is why they end up in jail. Anybody thought of maybe taking these people out of prisons throughout the country and bringing them out there and having them pick crops? Oh, I guess not, because that would be beneath them. Not beneath them to be in prison, not beneath them to go back out after they serve their sentence and not work because generationally they haven't worked, but blame the people that are using them to pick fruit. That's the least of the worries of this insane asylum. 95% of all the warrants for murder in Los Angeles are for illegal aliens. Remember, the Democrats want illegals to flow over the border. Let them in here. We now have TB. We have a return of several diseases that have disappeared from America for 40 years, but they're coming in carried by illegals, and that's okay with the do-good, hand-wringing feel-gooders. Feelings.
Nothing more than feelings.
Nothing more than feelings. 75% of people on the most wanted list in Los Angeles are illegal aliens. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't Don McKeag. This is the Los Angeles Times.
Wow.
Over 2/3 of all births in Los Angeles County are to illegal alien Mexicans on Medicare. Medi-Cal, that is. That's their own little thing.
Are you paying for that or am I?
We're all paying for it, ultimately. All of those births were paid by taxpayers. Nearly 35%, over 1/3 of all inmates in California detention centers are Mexican nationals who are here illegal. That's not just Los Angeles, that's all of California. Imagine how many people that is. Nearly 35% of, I just said that. Over 300,000 illegal aliens in Los Angeles County are living in garages.
Huh?
Yep. Now, by the way, a lot of these people are really hardworking, good people. This isn't about them. So don't be saying how mean it is. This is, again, the hand-wringing. Oh, he doesn't care. You're pathetic. You're pathetic. The FBI reports half of all gang members in Los Angeles are most likely illegal aliens from south of the border. The reason they can't give you a definite is because the cops won't even go into districts in Los Angeles. The gangs, they've given them total control in America. That's how good the legal system is supported. That's what you get when you get liberal judges. Nearly 60% of all, this is a beauty, Kenny, nearly 60% of all occupants of HUD properties are illegal. So now, 60? Housing and urban development that's paid by all of us is supposed to help people that hopefully are legal or Americans, but no, No, the liberal left is in control in California, and they have been so successful that over half, 60% of HUD inhabitants, housing that we've built and paid for, if you don't laugh, you should cry.
Is this still the same article you're reading?
Yes.
Wow.
21 radio stations in Los Angeles are Spanish speaking. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Oh boy, 21%. I don't think it's wonderful when you have people driving automobiles that can't read the signs, when you have people killing people, kids playing in the streets, they run over and they don't have any insurance and they don't have a license. But the liberal left thinks that's just fine because we're being kind.
ICE turns them loose after they arrest them.
Yep. And number 10, in Los Angeles County, 5.1 million people speak English, 3.9 million speak Spanish, and there are 10.2 million people in Los Angeles County. So add that up. That's 9 million. So there's only one other million that doesn't speak English but speaks other languages.
I have a family member that lives in California, as I stated earlier. And one of the things that changed in California that she really didn't agree to, she didn't like it, was that they're so hungry for money, to raise money, to keep the government running, that they're charging her the registration fees on her car yearly now as opposed to every 2, 3, or 4 years.
Oh, of course they are.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, Don.
But Kenny, what do you think? Why do you think the Massachusetts politicians have to have casinos? Even though they're going broke, they have to have a cash flow, even if it's negative. That's why they have to have the gas tax ability to just jack it on. And then because they just gave the fire department, the police department, not 5% raises, they get 20 and 25%.
Right.
And if you say anything, you're un-American because they're so wonderful,
Well,
cut the crap.
Well, you know,
Cut the crap.
okay.
150 grand? If you don't want to be a fireman, don't. I don't support not paying well, but again, 25% raises when people are losing their homes, like this lady in Carver. There's thousands of them that have worked all their life, educated their kids, paid for schools, paid the government, and now when they need help, nothing. Take their house away, and it's okay, you phonies out there. Now, in answer to why I held off on the fruit picking, Mr. Bukes, in the Los Angeles Times also, the statement, less than 2% of illegal aliens are picking our crops, but 29% are on welfare. Doesn't it just make you feel wonderful, folks? Doesn't it just warm the cockles of your heart?
How much of the money's going back to Mexico?
Yeah, well, it all does. And of course, nobody, I'd say this on the radio for years, nobody, I would say 1 in 100,000 knows what the balance of payments means. That as money flows out of our country, our gold supplies go down, so does the value of our dollar, but it doesn't matter. Over 70% of the United States' annual population growth and over 90% of California, Florida, and New York are results from immigration. 29% of inmates in federal prisons are illegal aliens. At 55,000 plus per prisoner. How much money is that, do you think? And if you're talking about 20% of the inmates, there are millions in the prisons. So there's millions that we're paying almost 60 if not more to incarcerate. And they're not legal. We can't ship them home. That'd be unfair.
And yet the banks are foreclosing on people who've worked all their
That's-
lives to pay their bills.
That's the point.
And they don't want to put them in
Nope.
prison. They want to put them out on the street.
That's right. And again, Barney Frank made, along with Bill Clinton, their idea was to put minorities in houses and give them mortgages that we paid. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Those people
That's
didn't
part
have
of the
jobs.
pressure they put on banks. I'm not sticking up for banks, but a lot of it was federal mandate to people who weren't working, couldn't afford to pay their rent.
Right.
So their mentality is, well, let's buy them a house and we'll pay the mortgage.
Right.
So there it is, folks.
Donnie, you got 4 minutes left.
The
buddy.
biggest insane country in the world now is the United States of America. And this election will once again show whether it's going to change. Again, what's that,
I
Ken?
want to interrupt you.
Yes.
Where did you get that pumpkin?
Oh, you like my
Tie.
pumpkin tie?
I love it.
I'm
Where'd
not
you get
telling
it?
you. That was a friend. It came with a pumpkin.
You got a pumpkin with it, huh?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a harangue, but I'll tell you, it's serious business, and I'm going to get on here. I don't know how many people will watch
there's
or how
people
many will
watching.
stay,
They're watching, Donnie.
but it's, believe me, my intent is to inform. My intent is to get you excited, get you off your hands, and start thinking about someone beside yourself. I'll end this with another one, former English teacher that I was, John Donne. Now this, when you think about how long ago this was, no man is an island entire of himself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as any manner of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Now that means each and every one is affected by each and every one. I'm not anti-illegal immigrants. They're good people. I am against illegal anything. What kind of a system do you have if legal doesn't matter anymore? So this is the mentality that is so out of control. If you don't come here legally, then you can't come here. And if you get caught, you should be punished or sent back. You get pulled over by a police officer, if you don't have your license, they impound your car. If you don't have insurance, you lose your car. It's just, again, selective outrage in the liberal left. And they don't care because many of them are in the very high economic echelon. They don't care how much the government spends of your money, and the percentage of money that they earn that goes to taxes still doesn't affect their life that much. It does you and me. Okay, enough. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, you can see this show again, if you're a glutton for punishment, on Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And what the heck is it now? I got it right here. Monday at 11 p.m. and Wednesday at 1 p.m. This is Don McKeag signing off. And I'd love to hear from you on my radio station, 95.1 FM on Cape Cod from 11 to 1, WXTK. Thanks again. Have a good evening.